What is up, Healthcare Squad? Logan here with Healthcare Stress Relief, the company dedicated to helping you navigate the crazy world of healthcare. If you haven't already, check out my video on the pros of being a male nurse. This video is going to cover the cons of being a male nurse. There are a lot of great things about being a male nurse, but I also found that there are some negatives, and it's important to talk about both of them because polarity. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and dive into the cons of being a male nurse. Stick around to the end of the video so you get all 6 points. And in particular, like I said in the pros video, our society is very catered to calling anyone who does something feminine as not masculine, right? And hate to say it too, but some people will call you gay and stuff, and there's nothing wrong with being gay. It's rude for people to say that, but people will do it if you're a male nurse. If they're a complete jerk, they will say stuff like that. In our society, we have movies like Meet the Parents, where the character in the movie is Gaylord Focker, and everybody makes fun of him for being a male nurse. And so there's that. And I'm going to cover much more. But I will say this, it's not even as bad as it sounds, because I did not ever really get made fun of. There were some people that were like, oh, you're a male nurse. But it was never that bad. But I have still heard stories where people will say rude stuff like that. So let's go ahead and dive in. Number 1, you are going to get called to do all of the heavy lifting. Your female coworkers, and I used to joke around, they are going to use you for your body. And not in the good way. They're going to ask you to lift patients. They're going to ask you to take the 5-gallon water jug and put it on. They're going to ask you if you're tall to reach everything. And it's great to help, but sometimes this is going to just put a little bit more wear and tear on your body because you're helping a lot more. And you can't really say no because you're a part of a team and you got to help. But you're going to be called more to do those kinds of things. Number 2, you're going to be given harder patient assignments. And this is generally your very difficult patient who may be going through withdrawals or is a drug user, doesn't want to listen to anyone. I once got a patient assignment with this man who was going through withdrawals. He would not listen to anyone. We had to put him in 4-point restraints because he started spitting and punching at people, calling my coworker a fat piece of S, and just saying some very terrible things. If I wasn't a man, they wouldn't have given me that. They gave me that because I was the guy on the shift that day, and they needed somebody who's going to be a little bit more assertive with this guy. So you will be getting more violent patients. With a lot of patients, they can be sexist and rude, and so when the majority of your coworkers are female, it's not okay to be putting females with these kinds of people. So you're going to get called upon to step up and work with the people that nobody wants to work with. Number 3, this isn't anything I've heard anyone talk about, but I've experienced it firsthand. There's a double standard in the work environment. What do I mean by this? So you will have some of your coworkers, maybe older women, if they are keen on you, and the older women usually like the younger nurses. They will make sometimes sexual remarks to you. They will try and flirt with you. They will say all these things, and you often can't be doing that. If I've had a coworker smack me on the butt once, and I had to set a boundary and say, don't do that again. But if I were to have done that to one of my coworkers, I would be going to HR. If I called HR, not that I even cared that they smacked me on the butt, I just basically told them, don't do it again. I was pretty chill about it. But if I went to HR about that, they would do nothing. Now, if I smacked a girl on the butt and they talked to HR, I would be going to their office and I would be getting threatened. That's just one of the examples of the double standard that goes on in nursing if you're a man. Number 4, and I really hope this does not happen to any of you, but it's something we have to be aware of, and not a lot of people talk about this either. In our society, many of the people who are committing acts of sexual misconduct are men. With that, because you are a man, you are at a heightened risk for being blamed, even if you never did anything. You will have some patients who are mentally sick, and some of them are trapped in such a victim mentality that they will do anything to blame other people. And so you have to be very, very careful. If you are putting a Foley catheter in on a female patient, you need to have a female in the room, or you need to have a female do it. And God forbid this happen to anyone, because there are cases of people who lie about men being sexually abusive in the profession. But we need to be aware of it so that we can protect ourselves from anything happening. Always just make sure if you feel uncomfortable in any situation, just have a female present with you or another coworker present so they can have your back. It's really important to also chart this person was in the room with you when this happened. So if any sexual misconduct allegations ever came up, then you have it all documented. Sadly, I don't want to even talk about this because it's terrible. I would never, ever sexually abuse somebody, especially when you have a patient who's vulnerable and everything like that. That's just some messed up stuff. What's even more messed up is people will make stuff up sometimes. So protect yourself, be aware of this. As a male, you are more likely to get accused of sexual misconduct. Number 5, this one's more cute than a con, but some people don't like it. You're gonna get called a doctor all the time. You're gonna walk into your patient's room and they're gonna be like, hey, how's it going, doctor? And you're gonna have to tell them, I'm not your doctor, I'm your nurse. And then they're going to say to you, oh, well, when are you gonna become a doctor? And then you're gonna tell them whatever you want. But I usually tell them, doctors are focused on diagnosing, nurses are focused on caring for the patient. That's what I got into this profession for. And a lot of your family members included are going to, depending on how your family is, they're going to ask you, when are you going to become a doctor? But what I just said is a perfect response. You got into nursing to care. You didn't get into medicine to be somebody who diagnoses people. That's the big difference between a doctor and a nurse. And oftentimes it's the older population who has this notion that if you're a nurse, you're not as great as a doctor. And a lot of people still believe this because their mind is attached to the number that the doctor is making on their paycheck. But in my opinion, nurses are doing way more of the care. The doctor rarely does any of the care. In the ICU, they're responsible for codes and intubation and things like that. But oftentimes the nurse is performing 90-95% of the care. So have a response ready for when a patient calls you doctor. And go ahead and post in the comments below what you say when people say, oh, you're a man, you're supposed to be a doctor, not a nurse. Number 6, some people in society are going to make fun of you for being a male nurse. There's 2 things you can do here. You can either agree with them and amplify, or just ignore it. Usually if somebody says, oh yeah, you're a male nurse, I just say, yeah, I'm Gaylord Focker. And then they have nothing that they can say. They just laugh. But there will be some people that you might meet who are going to try and say, you're not a man because you're a nurse. It's not true. So just don't believe it. There are so many men that I've known in the profession who are absolutely incredible leaders, incredible men, strong, and with strength. You got to be vulnerable as well. A lot of times in our society, people don't say that you can cry as a man or you're a baby. I don't agree with that. I think the strongest men are in touch with their emotions. So those are my top 6 cons for being a male nurse. With all of this being said, I think that being a male nurse is an absolutely incredible opportunity for anyone who's interested in it. It will give you lifelong security because there will always be sick people in our population, and you will have chances to really just advance in your career as a male nurse. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It helps me help more healthcare professionals. And go ahead and share this video with anyone who is considering becoming a nurse, primarily a male nurse. And if you like this video, go ahead and check out the video on the pros of being a male nurse. Thank you so much for watching. I will be clocking out now. Stay strong, Healthcare Squad. Talk to you later.